What's up, world? Back again with another video. Man, in this video I want to go step by step on the process of getting your CDL license and passing the CDL test. So I have the checklist here, and I'm gonna go just step by step on the checklist on what you have to do in order to get your CDL. First and foremost, man, y'all just like this video, man. Subscribe to the channel. You know, show your boy some love, man. Yeah, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Watch a few of my other videos, man. Tell me how you feel about them. Hit that like button on them. And, you know, keep supporting. So, first and foremost, I want to show y'all the checklist. So, here's the checklist. This is the checklist, and you're going to go step by step. And one thing that is very important is going in this exact order. I had a homie that I was going to school with, and he was taking his CDL test, and his CDL test ended within 5 minutes. And he got in the truck, and then he got back out, and he walked right over to where I was standing at. And I was like, what happened? He was like, man, I failed. I was like, how'd you fail? And the reason why he failed was because he didn't go step by step. He went from step 1 to step 3. Like, no, you can't skip any steps. You got to go by this checklist. You know, and what I've heard is some testers, you know, they don't necessarily care if you kind of get out of order. And, you know, if you go from 1 to 3 back to 2 to 4, you know, they won't trip. A lot of them, you know, from what I've heard, are very strict on, you know, abiding by this checklist. So I would recommend everyone to just go by the checklist. You know what I mean? And that is plain and simple. And the cool thing about your CDL test is they actually give you this exact form, so you can look at the paper and go by the checklist. So if you memorize your pre-trip and your in-cab inspection, you shouldn't have no issues with this CDL test. Now, on the road, it's a different story because that's when you're just driving. So, you know, you just have to go by what your, you know, teachers have taught you, you know what I mean? And make sure you're on point. So that's just what it is. But as far as the in-cab and the pre-trip inspections, it's right here. You just go by the list. And here's the list right here. You know what I mean? So they give you the list. And this is for semi-tractors or truck and trailers, a bus. So this is for, I want to say, Class A and Class B. But obviously, if you're doing your Class A, you don't have to worry about passengers and school bus or school bus only. Like, you don't have to worry about that section. So here's the list, and I'm just going to kind of give you a summary of each step. Therefore, you can, you know, be aware of what you're getting yourself into. And, you know, for those that are already in CDL school, you know, so y'all can kind of get an idea of, you know, what to expect when you about to go take your CDL test. So boom, y'all. The first section is in-vehicle and engine start. So that is when you first get in the vehicle, you're checking your ABS lights, making sure it comes on and off. You know what I mean? So that's first and foremost. After that, you go to the safety start. So that's when you crank it up and make sure you're able to crank it up properly and you're doing what you need, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And then you're going to check your governors. Make sure, you know, your governors are at the proper levels and so forth and so on. So after the governor, you know, you're going to, you know, do your, you're going to make sure your primary and secondary gauges are at its proper level as well. So there you have it for that part. You know, you got a couple other things, but like I said, I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what to expect. And then you got your parking and trailer brake check. So for your parking and trailer brake checks, you're gonna check to make sure that your obviously like your parking and trailer brakes work. You know what I mean? You're gonna check your parking brakes, you're gonna check your trailer brakes. So you're going to have your, when you're checking your parking brakes, you're gonna, you know, have your trailer brakes engaged, and when you're checking your trailer brakes, you're gonna have your parking brakes engaged, and you're just making sure that, you know, your parking and trailer brakes are working at a proper level. So then you're gonna check your service brakes. That's the next step. Your service brakes, obviously, like that's your regular brakes. You know what I mean? You're going to release both your parking and trailer brakes. You're gonna move forward for a while, and then you're gonna press on your brakes and make sure that they're working properly. So that's it for the third step. The fourth step is the lighting indicators. So you're gonna make sure that your left signal works in and out, working properly, like on the dash. You know, so you're gonna make sure all the light indicators work on your dash. Left signal, right signal, your four-way flasher, your low beam and your high beam. So the next step is your emergency equipment. That's your fire extinguisher. That's your fuses, the extra fuses that you need. Your 3 triangle reflectors, you know, so forth and so on. So you want to make sure that, you know, all that is equipped. You know, for your fire extinguisher, that your DOT sticker is up to date, it's fully charged, the pin is present and it's secure. And for your 3 triangles, you want to make sure they're all there and that they're secure and properly mounted and secure, and you know that you're not missing any fuses, things of that nature. So that's your emergency equipment. So that's that step. And then you have the next step is the windshield and traffic monitoring device. Your traffic monitoring device, that kind of confused me when I first seen it, but that's just your mirrors. That's your left mirror, your right mirror. You want to make sure that they're properly mounted and secured. They're clean and visible. You know, you don't have no issues, no illegal stickers on there, things of that nature. Obviously, your windshield, you want to make sure that your registration sticker is up to date and it's clean and visible. There's nothing between your windshield and your dashboard that can affect your sight and your vision, and there's no cracks or anything like that. So that's your windshield and your traffic monitor device. So the next step is your wipers and your washers. That's your windshield wipers and the windshield wiper liquid. You know what I mean? That you know it's working properly. That your fluids are up to date and it's working properly. Make sure you know that your blades aren't missing and they're not messed up, things of that nature. So you got to make sure that's up to par. Next is your heater and defrost. You know, that's important. You know what I mean? When you're driving through those northern states, you know what I mean, you want to make sure that your heater and your defrost is up to par. So you're going to check that is working up top, in the middle, and below, and that it cuts on and off. After that, then you're going to go to your horns. So you have your city horn and you have your highway horn. So you're actually gonna beat both of those, your city horn and your highway horn. Make sure that they're working properly and that you know they're good to go. So after that, you're going to go to all the external lights. So you're gonna ask the inspector or the tester, could they politely step out and make sure that your lights are working properly. You know, you're going to do your left signal, right signal. You know, you're going to check all your lights, four-way flasher, your brake. Then you're going to ask them if they can go to the back. You're going to make sure your lights, your left signal, right signal, your brakes, all those lights work properly. And then there you have it for that. So after that, we're going to go to the front of the vehicle and engine area. So that's when you're gonna do your pop open the top, your front. You're gonna pop the front open, and then you're gonna check, basically everything in there. So you're gonna check first. It says you're gonna check your lenses. So that is just your front lights. So your headlights and blinkers, you're gonna make sure that they're properly mounted and secure. You're gonna make sure that it's the proper colors, there's no cracks, things of that nature, and that's pretty much it. Then you're gonna check your fluid levels, which are your brake fluids. You're gonna check your engine oil, the coolant. You want to make sure all your fluids. And another thing for the fluid levels, you want to make sure tire hubcap seal. You want to make sure you say that because there's oil in that as well. So when it goes to your fluids, at least that's what I was told, and that's what I did on my test. When they said check, when my instructor said check all fluids, that's something that he included. It really didn't make sense because you jumping from the front of the truck, and then you're going to the tire. But I did it because I wasn't trying to fail, man, and I want to just go by this list and check everything off. So when it said fluid, it's fluid in there, I just checked it. Some instructors may not tell you to check it, and they might just tell you to check it when it gets to the tire part. But that's something that you will have to ask your instructor. It might be different in different states. So I'm just letting you know what I did. So fluid levels, I checked all my fluids, and then the next step is the fluid and air leaks. I just said on that step, I just told them that I have no fluid leaks, I have no air leaks, and everything is working properly. And then the next step after the fluid and air leaks is the steering system. So you're going to check your steering column, your steering hose, and I want to say that's about it. Whatever the steering system is, you got to make sure you check your steering system. You know what I mean? So next is the steering axle. So then that's the steps for those is your tires, rims, lug nuts, spring mounts and airbags and shocks, brake lines or holes and leaks, and brake contamination. So for your tire, you want to just make sure that your tire is up to date. You're going to check the front tires, so you're going to let them know that the front tires can be recapped. You want to tell them the tire thread, the tire pressure, and there's no leaks, things of that nature. For the rim, you want to make sure there's no illegal wells, that is up to date. You're gonna check your rims, and there's no space between the tire and the rim. And then you're gonna go to your lug nuts. The lug nuts, you want to make sure to let them know that there's no shininess or rust to indicate looseness. They're not missing, things of that nature. And then for your spring slash mounts and airbags and shocks, this is where it gets tricky. So you're going to check your lift spring hanger, and then the airbags. You're going to check your airbags, your air tanks, and then your shocks. So you're going to check your shock absorber. So you're going to go from your lift spring hanger to the air tanks, by the where your air tanks are. They're typically underneath the trailer, if you have a trailer connected. And then you're gonna go back to the shock absorber. So you're gonna go from the front of the truck to the back, then to the front. It makes things a little confusing, but at the end of the day, this is the list, and like I said, you have to go by this list. It's nothing else to it. You can say it doesn't make sense, like, well, why I don't just do everything in the front of the truck and then go to the back? Well, it's not our rules. We don't make these rules, so you just have to go by this checklist. That's plain and simple. It may not make a lot of sense, but in order to get your CDL, this is what you have to do. So After you do your shock absorbers, then the next step is the brake lines and or brake hose, and to make sure there's no leaks. So then that's when you're going to check your brake lines and your brake hoses, you know what I mean, and make sure that there's no leaks, things of that nature. So the next and last step for the steering axle column, the steering axle section is the brake contamination. Basically, you're telling them that there's no contamination. There's nothing between the brake line and the brake drum. There's no debris. There's nothing that can cause any issues between the brake line and the brake drum. So the next section is the side of the vehicle. So the side of the vehicle, you want to check your the lenses and reflectors. That's basically like your ABS light on the side and your DOT tape on the side of the trailer, things of that nature. You want to make sure that that's all up to date and there's no tears in your DOT tape, and you know it's 50% of the trailer, at least 50% of the trailer. And then you're going to go to the traffic monitoring device. Again, your traffic monitoring device are your mirrors. You want to make sure your mirrors are up to date and that they're good to go. After that, you're going to check your battery. You know, when you're checking your battery, make sure there's no corrosion on the connections. You know, just everything that you need to do and say to check your battery. Your fuel tank and your DEF tank. You know, the truck that I was driving in, it was an older model, so it didn't have a DEF tank. But I let the instructor know, like, hey, if I did have a DEF tank, I would check the DEF tank, and this is what I would say if I had a DEF tank, just to play it safe. I wasn't sure if I had to say that, but I still said that. So, and make sure you check and let them know, because I was so cautious of everything. I even told my instructor, I was like, hey, this is my fuel tank. It's probably mounted and secure. Is the cap is sealed and secure. I checked everything. I also mentioned, I was like, hey, I have a fuel tank on the other side. My fuel tank on the other side, and she stopped me there. She was like, wait, you don't have to do all that. But for me, I just wanted to play it safe because I didn't have time to be failing the pre-trip or the in-cab inspection over something like that. You know what I mean? So I checked it and I told her that, I have 2 fuel tanks. Like I said, it may vary in other states. I'm in the state of Texas, and the instructor that I had, she wasn't tripping on that. After that, you're gonna check your frame. Your frame, you want to make sure that there's no illegal welds. It's properly mounted and secure. Things of that nature. So that's it for the side of the vehicle. Now we're gonna get to the combination vehicle only. So this is the next step. So on this one, you have your air and electric line and connectors. So that is your 2 hoses, your emergency hose and your service hose, and then you have your your electric cable. You're gonna let them know. You're gonna talk about that. You're gonna talk about the glad hand, and make sure everything is up to date and up to par when it comes to that. I'm sure if you're in CDL school, your instructor is going to let you know what to say and how to check those. So after that, you go to your fifth wheel skid plate and your pintle hook or your tow hitch. So with that, you check your fifth wheel. You know what I mean? Make sure that your fifth wheel is secure. There's no movement, and it's good to go. Your skid plate, you're gonna check your skid plate and make sure everything is up to date with the skid plate. It's properly mounted and secure. No illegal welds, properly greased, things of that nature. So that's it for that one. Then you're gonna get to your kingpin, your apron, your coupler and tongue, your drawbar ring, things of that nature. I don't know what the drawbar ring is, or and tongue, or coupler and tongue. I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe that's for buses or something like that. But my instructor, we never went over that. I was never told anything about any of that. Just the kingpin and the apron. And when it comes to the kingpin and apron, you know, you tell them what you need to say as far as the kingpin and the apron. You need to check that. And then they also, I didn't mention that, they also are going to give you a like a little metal rod or stick where you have to point at these pieces and point at everything that you're saying on the list. So you have to make sure it's not like you can just say what the instructor told you to say and you don't necessarily know what it is. No, you actually need to know what it is, and you're gonna have to show the instructor that you actually know what you're talking about. So yeah, make sure you do that. And then it's the next step, which is the last step for this section, is the locking and safety device. For the locking and safety device, you just want to talk about the release handle, and that's pretty much it. That's all I said. I just talked about the release handle, and that was pretty much it. But like I said, every instructor is different. You may be told to do something else from your instructor, so make sure you're very attentive and you pay attention in your class and to your instructor, and just don't BS this. You know what I mean? This is something that can, you know, change your life and help support you and your family. So take this serious. And like I said in my previous videos, this is life or death. You know what I mean? You need to know what this stuff is, so you're not out here just winging it, and you put in other people's lives in jeopardy, and more importantly, yourself life in jeopardy as well. So yeah, make sure you know what you're talking about, and you know where all these parts and these pieces are at. So the next section is the trailer only, and that's when you're talking about your landing gear and your clearance. So your landing gear, you're going to talk about your landing gear, your landing gear shoe, and then the clearance. Basically the clearance, I talked about the proper spacing between the landing gear and the mud flap. So you know, you need to know what all that stuff is. And then the reflector tape, that's the DOT tape, at least 50% present on your trailer, things of that nature. So that's the last step for the trailer only. And then the last section is the rear of the trailer. So you're going to talk about the lens and the reflectors. So you're going to talk about the ABS lights, your clearance markers, and you're going to talk about your brake lights and your tail lights. So you know, you need to know what all that stuff is, and make sure you're up to date with all that stuff. Also, I didn't mention on the front of the vehicle, you need to talk about your clearance markers as well. So you need to talk about your clearance markers on the front of the vehicle, and you need to talk about your clearance markers on the rear of your trailer as well. So that's it. You know what I mean? That's the entire list, and just want to give you like a brief summary of the list and how to pass the pre-trip and the in-cab inspection section of the CDL test. And like I said, this is the list right here. They're going to actually give this to you. So if you have any issues with, you know, where I need to go next, you always have this list available, and they should provide it to you, or your instructors at your class should provide it to you as well. So I know for the school that I went to, we learned more stuff about the truck than what's actually on this list. Like, I know way more than what is on this list, you know what I mean? Because, you know, that's just how they taught us. So a lot of stuff I didn't even have to say when it came to the CDL test, which, you know, it's cool, but it's still good knowledge to have, so I can operate safely as possible when I'm on the road. So I just wanted to kind of leave y'all with that and kind of give y'all a little update. I'm going to try to put like a PDF picture of the checklist for the Class A in this video, probably like put it on the side so you kind of have an understanding of you know what I'm talking about and have a visual of the actual checklist. So I'm gonna try to do that for y'all, but like I said, I just kind of want to give y'all that information for those of you that are planning on, you know, joining the CDL class, or that are already in the CDL and, you know, they're not quite sure what to expect when it comes to the CDL test. So man, I appreciate y'all watching this video, and like I said before, man, just subscribe to the channel, man, hit that like button, watch a few other of my videos, man, and kind of get an understanding of this trucking stuff. And then, you know what I mean, just show your boy some love, man. As always, y'all continue to keep trucking, stay safe, and utilize your gifts.